So I am in El Salvador. Beautiful place, very, very warm, very different to back home. The waves have been really, really fun, and it's so warm in the water. Absolute boardies weather, which is awesome, and it's a beautiful sunny day today as well. So yeah, the waves have been epic. At the start of the trip we had a big swell, and then it's gotten a bit smaller now, but still super fun logging waves. Great for the pintail here, which I've been riding a lot. And so for today's video, I'm just going to share an edit of some of the sick surf we've had here in El Salvador, the local break here. But then after that, we might jump into a bit of a quick chat about the WSL World Tour contest, which is now run and done. And then for the next video next week, I think I want to show you guys a little bit more of El Salvador, do a good breakdown and review of the location, because it is absolutely epic and could be a great consideration for a surf trip for you guys in the future. But yeah, excited to get out there. right, so let's chat a little bit about the contest and how that went. First of all, super fun, and this was the third contest for the WSL World Longboard Tour this year. Had previously been to Huntington Beach in California and Bells back home in Victoria, Australia. It was sick to be a part of once again, and the surfing was epic as per usual. As for the conditions, we were really lucky conditions-wise. We had some fantastic waves. Similar to the Bells event, it was actually pumping and quite big. We had a big swell prior to the event, which was super fun. And in terms of stuff around the event, like the free surfing and also how El Salvador was, I'm actually going to do a few things on that in the next couple of videos, so the next couple of editions of the Sunday Glide, which I'm super excited to get into. But waves were fantastic before the event, and then the swell did drop a little bit for the event, but we still had some really good waves. Sunzal, which is where the contest was, is super consistent. Certainly going into the event, there was, I know I'd spoken about it on the channel here, there was a lot that I wanted to focus on in terms of learnings from Bells, which I feel like I was able to implement to some extent, which I was really happy with. Probably the key takeaway being wave selection and making sure that I'm on the best waves for the heat that I'm in, so that I can give myself the best opportunity, because at the level that I'm finding myself at the moment, everyone is a fantastic surfer, and so it really comes down to those little 10%ers who can get the best waves, who can have the patience and foresight to select the right waves. That tends to be a big thing that contributes to people doing better in these contests, and the best of the best can typically do that more often than not. So that's definitely something that I'm learning and developing some really good experiences with. For the contest, and if we speak about the first heat, I feel like I was actually able to put that into display pretty well, but the thing was the waves were a little bit inconsistent in the first heat, and so I actually found that I was playing a little bit of a priority game and waiting a little bit too long. So for the first 10 minutes or so of the first heat, I really didn't catch a wave, and then we had to get the ball rolling. Taylor Jensen, who was in my heat, started with some early waves and put up some pretty solid scores. So I think he started with a 7.5 or something like that, which is never what you want to hear in a heat, but something that you've got to make sure that you can put aside and just put your best foot forwards and try to get the top scores on the waves that you can. But yeah, he certainly started with a really solid start, and then unfortunately the first waves that I caught didn't really develop into much. It was quite tricky in the conditions as well. What I found with El Sunzal, point break we were surfing at, is that the wave is quite full, especially with a high tide. It can get a lot of that backwash from the shore and actually make things quite bumpy. So I think board selection there was something that I was a little bit of a query about, whether I should have ridden the pintail in that first heat. In retrospect, I probably should have. Yeah, just because I was finding it quite difficult to manage the bump on the waves. So unfortunately with that first heat, I had some smaller ones, but unfortunately, yeah, I wasn't able to get myself on the best waves, and probably, truth be known, I wasn't super proud of the surfing that I did in that first heat as well. I think it was a combination of, yeah, just being unable to get onto the waves that I needed to, then having the board potentially not deal with the conditions the way that I needed to as well, which is something that I tried to rectify for the next heat. So I came second in that heat. Taylor beat me, and then the local wildcard was in that one as well, which was great to surf with him. But then moved on to the round two, and this was against Johnny. Unfortunately, I didn't make it through this heat. Johnny surfed incredibly well in the heat and all event. He came second place to Carney in the final of the event, and posted the highest heat total of the round that I saw him in as well. So surfing really well. This heat went a little bit better, but I think I got a little bit unlucky. I shouldn't say unlucky, I didn't maximize my potential with the waves that I caught. I felt like my wave selection and my ability to wait for the right waves, I feel like that was quite okay. I did get somewhat unlucky with a set wave that I caught that I rode fairly well at the start, but then it shut down on me. I tried to milk it through to get a little bit of an inside section on the end, but unfortunately with such a large dead section, just trying to fight the whitewater through the middle of that, I didn't really get the score that I needed from that, and then didn't really find another set wave that came through that let me link it all the way through to the inside, which was unfortunate. The first wave I got was a 6.8, and I felt like I undersurfed that pretty significantly just to get a good score on the board, which again, more often than not, I'm happy to try that approach, but when there's not a lot of good waves coming through, I do think you need to make every wave count, and I think this is where something I'm thinking about for next year and what's to come is making sure that my surfing is at a level where I can put 100% of my maximum surfing into a wave from the start of the heat. Not having to be conservative to make sure I've got a score on the board, but making sure that I have the confidence to really put it on the line what I need to, because you never know when you're going to get these opportunities, and potentially if I had taken the opportunity with that first one and gotten closer to a high 7 or an 8, it might have made the heat go a little bit differently. So that's something I'm thinking about. I made a few priority errors in that heat as well, not taking bad waves, but potentially thinking about the scores that I needed being an 8 and above, really. I needed to wait and make sure I was holding priority and stopping Johnny from getting priority, which again, can be a little bit of a coin toss as to you know, the right wave selection and making sure that you're choosing the right waves out there. But it's definitely something that I've got on my mind. In the second heat, I did ride the pintail as well, which I felt like flowed much more nicely. And in terms of where the criteria is going at the moment, they are rewarding pocket nose rides and really tight critical nose rides, but they're really, really loving the speed, connection and flow between maneuvers and making sure that all of the turns are done in the critical part of the wave with a lot of speed. So that's where you see surfers like Taylor Jensen, Kyle Flint, and these other surfers who are maximising the speed and control throughout their turns that are getting those really, really high scores. So that's where the criteria is going at the moment. I did unfortunately bow out in round 2, which is again, I want to be able to pass that mark, and you know, hopefully in the coming years I'm going to get another opportunity. Speaking about, I guess, what's coming for the future, I'm definitely looking to continue to pursue this. I think there's been a lot of a shift in my state of mind with respect to my own surfing, and probably overcoming a lot of beliefs that have held me back previously, and trying to now not only kind of hone into my strengths, but looking at my weaknesses and truly being able to address those, which is where I think this is something I'll speak about in a couple of weeks' time on the channel. But I think quite often, if we're being honest and truthful with ourselves with respect to our improvements in our longboarding, I found even over the past year, my improvements, I've been focusing so much on getting better at things that I'm already good at and steering away from things that I'm not so good at. And yeah, that's a conversation for another day. But I'm really excited to kind of share with you the learnings from this year on tour, because it has been a really pivotal progression for me, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. So yeah, the rest of the event was phenomenal to watch in terms of the men's. Obviously Carney took the men's out, and then Sophia Colhane took out the women's, which is really, really good to see. We've got the Malibu event that'll be happening starting the 3rd of October, the waiting period. I think it goes through to the 12th of October. Looks like the swell's going to be quite small in the starting part of that waiting period, so we're going to need to see how the swell develops towards the latter end of that waiting period to see what day they'll run. The format's really interesting, so if you haven't had a look at all the rules and the format, they're running a final 8 format. It's going to be really, really cool to see. It's a new structure, and I think hopefully it'll create a good amount of hype around it, and yeah, give longboarding, I suppose, the attention and the media that it deserves. And I did also just want to say thank you so much for all the support as well for this year on tour, and just supporting me and the channel in general. It means a lot. I'm having an absolute blast sharing all of these experiences and the learnings with you guys on this. And I'm definitely going to continue to do so with some exciting things coming up. So yeah, I will leave it there for today. If you have any questions on anything to do with the comp, El Salvador, or anything you want to see with respect to that kind of stuff, or anything else in the coming videos, then make sure you let me know. But other than that, we'll leave it there for today, but we'll catch you on the next one.